Well, I just woke up and our back door was wide open and we can't find our daughter.
Can't find what?
Our daughter.
Just got home from work. My 5-year-old daughter is gone. I need somebody to be here now.
When I picked up the phone, he said, my baby's gone, my baby's gone. Get here, my baby's gone.
Welcome back. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is about a 5-year-old little girl who went missing one night while she was being babysat. And the one adult who was there that night definitely knows more than she's telling police. This is the story of Haleigh Cummings. Haleigh Cummings was born on August 17, 2003, to Ronald Cummings Sr. and Crystal Sheffield in Jacksonville, Florida. She had 2 siblings, one of which who lived with her and was named after their father, Ronald, but he was usually called Junior. 5-year-old Haleigh was said to be imaginative, kind, and adventurous. She was said to make everyone's day a little bit better when she was around. She also loved macaroni and cheese, watching movies, and playing with her dad. Now, Haleigh had been born with Turner syndrome, which is an illness that affects only women. It leaves people partially or completely lacking a second sex chromosome, which can keep the female body from naturally maturing. Outward signs of this syndrome can vary, including a person being shorter than normal, having a webbed neck, droopy eyes, a broad chest, and ears that protrude outwards. Due to this condition, Haleigh was supposed to see an endocrinologist and a cardiologist monthly. However, she ended up missing nearly half of these appointments. So back when Haleigh's mother, Crystal, was only 14, she went to stay with Ronald and his family one weekend. And it was only supposed to be for one weekend. However, she never returned back home and then ended up dropping out of school as well. When she was only 17, Crystal then gave birth to Haleigh, and 18 months after that, she had her brother Junior. At one point, however, the Florida Department of Children and Families opened a case on the children when Haleigh was a toddler and had been found unresponsive, face down in a water-filled ditch. Haleigh's parents, Crystal and Ronald, would end up splitting up when she was only 2 years old, and in 2005, they began to battle for custody over Haleigh and her brother. Ronald would accuse Crystal of using cocaine and being an irresponsible mother. Crystal admitted to the court that she had used heavy drugs, but said it was only at the insistence of Ronald. She also claimed that the couple had indeed been doing cocaine when she found out she was pregnant with Haleigh. When she then went to Ronald to tell him that she was going to quit using the drug, she said that he kicked and punched her in the head. But due to the fact that Ronald had a job where he was only making $10 an hour, and Haleigh's mother, Crystal, had no job, he was awarded full custody of the children, while she was only allowed to visit every other weekend. Haleigh's father was not the best option for the children either, however. He had been arrested multiple times. Once in 2001 for threatening to kill a person. And then in 2002, 2004, and 2005 on drug charges. And Crystal, along with some of her other family members, have said that Ronald is not only a drug dealer, but also a very violent and impulsive man. So Ronald himself had mostly been raised by his grandparents after his mother failed to find anyone who could properly take care of him while she was at work. His grandmother, Annette Sykes, ended up gaining partial custody of him, though she would end up being his main caregiver from that point on. And this had occurred after a babysitter of Ronald's actually let him get lost in the woods. Annette has said that even though her grandson has made some mistakes in his past, he was always a caring and loving father. Ronald had also gone on to father another son who was born with special needs, but did not live with him. Now Haleigh, her brother Junior, and their father Ronald lived in a blue mobile home that they rented on Green Lane in Satsuma. They had moved there in mid-2008, and the home was rather tucked away from main roads. Around the same time that the family moved to their new home, Ronald met the then 16-year-old Misty Croslin at Haleigh's bus stop. Not long after that, the pair would begin dating. So Misty Croslin had actually left school when she was only in 6th grade, and according to her father, she did not know how to read or write. Most people in her life described her as devoid of emotion, likely due to the traumatic experiences from her past. Misty said that she had suffered SA when she was only 15 years old and had gotten pregnant. So she had purchased a bus ticket under a fake name and fled to New Jersey. However, a social worker ended up finding her and bringing her back to Florida. So at the time Misty and Ronald met, Misty was actually also babysitting Ronald's other son, the one who didn't live with him. And Misty tried to convince Ronald to get custody of this son as well, saying that his mother used drugs and left him in the care of irresponsible people. Misty had been babysitting him though. So is she saying that she herself is one of those irresponsible people? Once Misty and Ronald began dating, Misty started watching his children, Haleigh and Junior, and not long after that, she also moved in with them. Misty and Ronald had problems in their relationship. As I said, Ronald was known as a drug dealer around town, and he was known to be physically abusive towards Misty. She would later say that she had essentially become his babysitter/sex slave. Ronald also kept pushing drugs on her to keep her around, similar to what Crystal had said. But Misty was still young and wanted the freedom to do as she pleased. So she did. On the first weekend of February 2009, Misty left the home that she shared with Ronald and the children and went away for a weekend filled with binge drinking and drug use. Of course, Ronald was livid, but he knew that she was staying with a friend. And several times he went to that house trying to talk to Misty, but she refused to come to the door. At that point, Ronald decided to call up his grandmother to see if she could help care for his children, since that was normally Misty's job, and she agreed. And after Ronald dropped the children off with her later, he returned back to Misty's friend's home and dumped all of Misty's clothing on the front lawn. But the teenager would finally end up coming back home to her boyfriend Ronald on February 9th, right before he was supposed to go in for an overnight shift at a Palatka steel fabricating plant. This didn't mean the couple's fight was over, however. Ronald called Misty repeatedly while he was at work, over 20 times in fact. But when she wouldn't answer, he finally decided to call her brother, Hank Tommy Croslin, and he asked him if he could go by the house and check on her and the children. Ronald's grandmother, Annette, would also end up stopping by the mobile home early that evening to drop off the children's clothing that she still had from the weekend when she watched them. And when she stopped by, the children were sitting out on the porch eating hamburger helper, and the grandmother had insisted that both children put on warmer clothing. So 5-year-old Haleigh was last seen at 8:15 p.m. when Misty said she put her to bed for the night. Misty had then gone to bed around 10 p.m. herself in the same room as Haleigh. But she had woken up around 3 a.m. to use the bathroom. She didn't use the bathroom that was in the room where she was sleeping, however. She used the other bathroom for some reason. It was then that Misty noticed that the side door next to the washer and dryer had been propped open by a cinder block. And Haleigh was missing. The thing is, Misty wouldn't end up calling police until nearly a half hour later at 3:27 a.m. when Ronald pulled back into the driveway. And when police later asked her why she had waited so long to call, she said that she was looking under beds for Haleigh. But if you look at the photo, there's no under the bed. They're just mattresses on the floor. So someone got that wrong, or she's really that dumb. Haleigh's father immediately told Misty to call 911 when he heard that his daughter was missing. During this phone call, Ronald could be heard yelling Haleigh's name as Misty tries to talk to the dispatcher. Here's the call.
I just woke up and our back door was wide open and I can't find our daughter.
Can't find what?
Our daughter.
Okay, what's your address?
Green Lane. What is that mean?
What's the numerical?
Yeah, miracle, what's that?
The number? Green Lane?
Yes.
Okay, when did you last see her?
We were just it was about 10 o'clock. She was sleeping, just screaming.
Okay, how old is your daughter?
She's 5.
Okay, what was she last seen wearing? Ma'am?
She was in her pajamas. We were sleeping.
Okay. All right. You said your back door was wide open?
Yes, it was brick. Like, there's a brick on the floor. Like, when I went to sleep, the door was not like that.
Okay, the back door, listen to me. Your back door was wide open. What are you talking about, a brick?
Yes.
What is the brick?
It's on the back door, on the stairs. Like, we have, like, a walkway.
Uh-huh. And there was a brick laying there?
Yes, it's still there. They are.
We got them coming. Tell them we got them coming.
They're coming.
Okay, what's the color of your house, ma'am?
It's blue.
It's blue? Okay. Okay, what does she look like? How tall is she? Give me some description of her.
She has, like long hair, curly, like curls.
Long, curled, what color?
She's white.
Okay, what color is
brown hair.
Brown hair?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's freaking old.
Okay, how tall is she about? Or how much does she weigh? Do you know that?
Huh?
About how tall or how much does she weigh?
Like 4 something, like, I don't know, like, she's not that tall.
Okay, tell your husband we got him coming, okay?
Okay.
How much does she weigh? Do you know?
Huh?
How much does she weigh?
Like 40, 50 pounds, 60 pounds.
40 to 60 pounds?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get your name and phone number.
My name is...
Spell your last name?
Oh, I just woke up.
Okay, was your back door locked, do you know?
Yes, but that's what always stays locked.
Man, I need somebody to get here now.
Okay, let me speak to him so he
Here.
I just got home from work. My 5-year-old daughter is gone. I need somebody to be here now. I'm telling you.
Listen to me. We got 2 officers.
If I find whoever has my daughter before y'all do, I'm killing them. I don't care. I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. I'm telling you, you can put it on record, and I don't care.
Okay, it's okay, sir. We got him on the way. Okay, can you give me what kind of description of her pajamas that she was wearing?
I don't fucking know. I got work.
Okay, sir, we got him coming, okay?
Hello?
Okay, sir, let me talk to your wife. So let me get some information from her. Okay. Can I talk to her? Okay.
How the fuck do you let my daughter go, bitch?
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen to me. I need you to answer some questions. Does the door look like it was pried open? Does it look like you had some sort of someone try to enter into your house?
Hold on.
And another thing, make sure you and your husband don't touch the door anymore. Don't mess with the door or anything.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't look like it is?
No.
Okay, now listen, tell your husband do not touch anything. Make sure it's sideways. Because we're going to try to get a canine out there. Okay?
She said don't touch anything because they're bringing canine out here.
They better motherfucking bring something in. If I find that motherfucking killing him, I don't give a fuck about prison. Prison don't scare me.
Okay, we understand. We got him on the way, okay? What's her name? How do you spell her first name? What's her middle name?
Yeah.
And the spelling of the last name is...
Well, that's my last name. That's not hers. Her name is... Where'd you do it?
What's her date of birth?
I'm gonna fucking kill somebody.
Okay, well, tell them we understand. We need to get her date of birth.
What's her date of birth?
Fucking date of birth is. We need to find her. Fuck her date of birth.
Okay, listen to me. I'm getting this information. I'm not the officer driving out there, okay? They're coming out there to handle that situation. I need to gather all information from you over the phone. It has nothing to do with me driving out there. The officers are taking care of that, okay? They're coming out there, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to stay on the phone with you, okay?
Okay.
Until they get there. All right, hang on. Tell him we got him coming. He needs to try to calm down a little bit, okay? The officers are going to come out there and do what they can. We can't have him screaming and yelling at the officers whenever they get there, okay?
motherfucking phone. You got better people to talk to than the fucking motherfucker that ain't coming.
Ronald ended up hanging up on the dispatcher multiple times. And when the police arrived on the scene, Ronald was outside punching things. He was punching them so hard, in fact, that the skin on his knuckles had started to peel away. He was also yelling and crying out, demanding answers from his 17-year-old girlfriend. Ronald even said to one of the officers that his dumb fucking girlfriend told him that his daughter was missing. Inside the home, detectives would find Haleigh's homework and a pot of hamburger helper still on the stove. But not much else besides that. Following the little girl's disappearance, Ronald and Misty were not allowed to go back into the home as police searched for more clues. Anything that could lead them to finding Haleigh. So instead, Ronald, Misty, and Annette all camped out on the front lawn of a home just up the street. And Haleigh's mother, Crystal, set up a campsite on the opposite end of that yard. Worried and caring neighbors brought them blankets and food. They all wanted to be nearby in case Haleigh was found. Police with canine tracking dogs fanned out in all directions, one heading towards the St. Johns River a quarter mile away, and another walking towards the railroad tracks in the opposite direction. Where had Haleigh gone, though? After all, she was scared of the dark. Soon, the search for Haleigh grew from a local concern to a nationwide news story. An Amber Alert for the little girl was issued, and posters, flyers, and billboards blanketed the area. People on horsebacks, ATVs, and helicopters were also all brought in for the search for Haleigh. Divers were searching nearby waters, and several bounty hunters even took on the case.
Misty Crossland said it was locked when they went to sleep.
Somebody stole my child out of my bed. I come home from work and my child was not there.
I just want whoever's got her to bring her home.
I thought that maybe somebody that wanted a child real bad had seen her up at the bus stop or something and just fell in love with her like everybody else did and followed her home to see where she lived, and that maybe they came and got her.
Almost immediately after Haleigh had been reported as missing, police were also stopping cars on the road that led out of the town. And volunteers also came from all over to help out in looking for Haleigh. At the same time, FBI agents began to track down and interview registered sex offenders within a 5-mile radius of where Haleigh lived. There was 44 of them. But nothing would end up coming from these interrogations. Tip after tip poured into police, but they would only lead to dead end after dead end. No sign of Haleigh was found. Now, her father, Ronald, was willing to do anything he could to help out with the investigation. But his girlfriend, Misty, kept changing her story about what had happened that night, over and over again. Her story did not add up. She had insisted that the house had been locked at the time that Haleigh went missing, but police found no signs of forced entry. And then the door that she said she had found open near the washer and dryer had actually been found with a pile of both clean and dirty laundry directly in front of it. There was no sign that anyone had entered that way. When Misty spoke with 911 dispatchers, she also told them that Haleigh had last been seen wearing a pink Hannah Montana t-shirt. A pink Hannah Montana t-shirt was found on the pile of laundry near the door. Misty had also said that she put Haleigh in the bed next to her to go to sleep, but she would later change the story and say that she had actually put her in the same bed as her to go to sleep that night. Misty also failed to provide any type of detailed account in the hours leading up to Haleigh going missing. Even police were now skeptical of Missy and thought she had something to do with Haleigh's disappearance. They did not name her as a suspect. Investigators believed that Misty, who was a heavy smoker, had been out of cigarettes that night, had been sleep deprived, and did not want to be there watching the children. Maybe she had gotten frustrated with Haleigh and something bad had happened, or maybe she wasn't properly paying attention to the children, and that's how she had gone missing. Since Misty's story kept changing, police decided to give her a polygraph test. But she ended up failing it, with 99% deception found. Misty would also fail a voice stress test, and also later refused to do any hypnosis in order to help find Haleigh. Hank Crosland, Misty's brother, the one who had stopped by the house that night, was also interviewed by detectives. He lived just down the street from Ronald and Misty and had arrived at the home at 9:45 p.m. When he arrived, he said there were no lights on in the home, and after banging on the door for a little while, no one came and answered, so he left. Which was completely contrary to what Misty had previously told detectives, that he had stopped by and had a joint outside with her. When authorities spoke with Haleigh's younger brother, Junior, who was only 3 at the time, he said he had seen a man in dark clothing enter the bedroom that night, but they were never able to verify this. The sheriff's office would end up issuing statements clearing both of Haleigh's parents, Ronald Cummings and Crystal Sheffield, of suspicion in her disappearance. During their search for the little girl, Geraldo Rivera even got into a verbal confrontation with her father, Ronald, regarding the allegations that he was abusive as well as a drug dealer.
They told me that you hit Haleigh. Is that true?
No, never, ever have I ever hit my child. Me and my child have an agreement. Daddy, daughter, she has been spanked on her behind the way DCF says that you can take care of discipline your children.
You never backhanded her to the face?
Never have I ever backhanded my child in the face, ever.
Did you hit Crystal when she was pregnant?
No, I did not, never.
You didn't hit her in the back of the head and kick her?
No, I never have.
You swear to God you never hit your pregnant woman?
Never have I ever hit any woman. Period. Never. And I'd like to know where all these allegations are coming from, because I would like to talk to law enforcement and have these false allegations known that the false allegations against me, somebody needs criminal charges pressed against them.
What about the allegations, the cocaine use, methamphetamine use?
There's nothing. I do not do drugs.
You don't do drugs? All those arrests were all?
No.
If some associate of yours, some associate that had something to do with drugs, and this is not about drugs, but if these people are on the dark side of life, don't you think that you should share that information? Tell us about when you told Marcus and Chad that you were 75% sure and you had your gun ready, and you had your gun ready, and you were going to go get him. Didn't you say that? Isn't that a fact, Ron?
No, it is not a fact.
Why would they make that up? Why would they make that up for me?
I don't know why they would make law up for you, but I am fixing to have the law called right here, right now, because you're making up things, or they're making up things, and you're getting into
I am relating to you what they are saying.
You need to back off, man. That's my son.
All right, well, I'm sorry. I am sorry for what has happened.
No, you're not sorry.
You need to go.
We are daughter is missing.
See you later.
You want to come up here and make
a commercial
allegations? Why don't you go back to the
These are not my allegations, ma'am. These are not my allegations. You have to understand that. You have to understand this is not my allegation. Don't touch him. Don't touch him, please. We'll leave it. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
I wanted you to see that all this is about is my daughter. I love you, baby. If you were out there, I want you to know that I love you, and I will find you, baby. I love you. And to whoever has you, please bring my daughter home to me. I love my daughter. I love you, baby. I will find you.
Many people, including police, were looking at Misty, but since there was no proof she had done anything, she was not arrested. However, Misty did tell authorities that her cousin Joe Overstreet, the one who had sexually molested her, had actually violated his probation by leaving the state that he lived in, Tennessee, and going to Florida at the same time that Haleigh had gone missing. Joe had then later left town on February 10th, the very next day, and he headed back to Tennessee. So since the timing of Joe being in the state of Florida seemed rather coincidental, police decided to go speak with him. But they would later discover that the car Joe had been driving had actually been stopped by police on the way out of town, and there were no signs that Haleigh was there or had ever been in there. At that time, investigators publicly announced that Joe had been cleared as a suspect, but his name would come up again later in the investigation. Only weeks after Haleigh disappeared, in March 2009, her father Ronald would not only propose to his girlfriend Misty, but they would also get married in a backyard ceremony. While his daughter is missing, and he's marrying the woman, the only adult, who was there the night that his daughter did disappear. Not to mention the fact that she kept changing her story over and over again. A very clear sign of guilt. Many people were outraged that Ronald would get married to this woman, and while his daughter was still missing. Some people were saying that maybe the couple had gotten married because Misty was underage and Ronald didn't want to get in trouble for statutory rape. But others think that they had gotten married so they wouldn't have to testify against each other had they both been involved in Haleigh's disappearance. The couple's marriage, however, wouldn't end up lasting very long, and they would get divorced that very fall.
August. Here with us exclusively this morning is her stepmother, the last person to see her, Misty Cummings. Good morning, Misty.
Good morning.
This week, I know you had a tough setback in your life. Your husband, Ronald, announced publicly that he wants to divorce you. This is Haleigh's dad, and he said that there are inconsistencies in your story that bother him. He has supported you from day one. Why do you think he's changing now?
He tells me it's, just too much pressure on us right now. And, I got family problems. My family's trying to start problems. It's just too hard.
So you think he's divorcing you because the stress of all this is just too hard?
Yeah.
But what about his claims that you're telling different stories? Do you think he believes you're guilty now of something?
No, I don't think so.
What has he said to you about this?
He hasn't really said much about it, He believes me. He doesn't think I had anything to do with Haleigh gone missing.
For people who don't believe you, including police who say that you're a suspect and have questioned your inconsistencies, what do you say? How do you defend against that?
They just need to move on and look for the right person because they're focusing on me, and I'm not the one that has Haleigh. I don't know where she is, so they need to look for the person that does have Haleigh.
You've always said that you had nothing to do with this. In fact, you wanted to take a polygraph test, which you took, and failed. Why do you think you failed it?
I didn't want to take the polygraph. I was supposed to do a hypnosis. That's what I was supposed to do. One of the guys said that it could be the reason I'm failing is because I feel like it's my fault because I was the last one seen with her.
It was that night you say you put her to bed around 8 o'clock. At 3 a.m., she was gone and the door was open.
Yeah.
What do you think happened to her?
Someone come in and got her, obviously. I feel like it's on the other side of the family that has her. But that's just how I feel.
Do you feel that police have looked at everyone they need to look at?
I don't think they looked at everyone as close as they have me.
You're so young. How old are you?
17.
17, and you used to babysit Haleigh all the time. Then you became her stepmother. Did you feel ready, and were you glad to take on those motherly responsibilities so early on?
Yes. Yeah. I love them kids.
And you still wear the T-shirt and the picture of Haleigh. You've been a suspect. The media spotlight has been on you. What has this been like for you over the last couple of months?
Really hard. Really, really hard. Just want everything to be back normal. I want Haleigh home. Definitely.
Do you think she is still alive?
I feel in my heart that she's still alive, yes.
Do you think that Ronald Cummings will go through with the divorce?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
And you're resigned to go on without him?
That's what happens. It happens, but, we're going to still stay in contact, and if something happens down the road, then we might end up back together. I don't know.
What is your fear for your future when you look ahead?
Just to bring Haleigh home and have a normal life again.
Do you worry that you might be arrested?
I don't. I'm always being told all kinds of different things, so I just don't even pay attention to them.
All right, Misty Cummings, thanks for coming in this morning.
You're welcome.
Months after Haleigh disappeared, investigators would do a thorough search of Crystal's family's property that was located in Baker County. And Haleigh's mother, Crystal, would say that this was an attempt to quiet the rumors that Haleigh was buried on the property. 14 months after the little girl disappeared, police went back to interview Misty's cousin, Joe Overstreet, again. This had come after Misty's brother Hank had called his grandmother from jail and said that Joe had entered Ronald's trailer looking for a gun, but when he couldn't find it, he had left with Haleigh instead at knife point. Misty had also called her grandmother and given a similar version of events, as well as told investigators that she was cowering underneath sheets as the little girl was taken. So changing her story yet again, and doing a terrible job protecting the children she's supposed to be protecting. However, Hank Crosland would later say that he made up this story in an attempt to get leniency after he, his sister, and Ronald were all arrested in an undercover drug sting. In January of 2010, all three had been busted with drugs. For over a month, investigators had conducted an undercover operation. Apparently, an undercover officer had bought from them on more than 7 occasions over 300 pills. They received harsh sentences too. Misty Crosland was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Ronald Cummings and the rest were sentenced to 15 years. And Ronald would be released in October of 2022 after he qualified for incentive gain time when he had served 85% of his prison sentence. Then, only 2 months after Ronald had been let out of jail, fire and rescue personnel responded to a single-car crash with a possible vehicle fire. Ronald was found in a Hyundai Sonata. He had crashed into a road sign and was either sleeping or unconscious, still had the motor running, and a bottle of Hennessy lay in his lap. When he was awoken, he appeared severely intoxicated and ignored requests to not start up his car again. He had then pushed an officer and tried to grab his gun from his holster, as well as knocked his radio to the ground. At that point, Ronald was charged with battery of a law enforcement official, trafficking oxycodone, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription, resisting an officer with violence, and 2 other charges. After Haleigh had gone missing in February of 2009, her mother, Crystal, tried to gain custody of her little brother, Junior, which she would end up being awarded when Ronald went to prison on his drug charges. But Crystal has also been arrested multiple times since her daughter's disappearance. One in 2013 for disorderly intoxication and theft, and one in 2014 when she was arrested on a drug paraphernalia charge. Haleigh's maternal grandmother, Nancy Marie Griffiths, has said that it's important that the Putnam County community knows that her granddaughter has not yet been found. She said, "All it could take is to have that one person with a tidbit of information to come forward and just tell somebody, 'Hey, I know this. Tell it, please.' Haleigh deserves justice and to be brought home, one way or another, to get her family closure." Haleigh's great-grandmother, Annette Sykes, and her grandmother, Nancy, unveiled a plaque with Haleigh's name and picture next to a tree that had already been planted in her honor outside of her school in Putnam County. To this day, no trace of Haleigh has ever been found. Well, thank you for listening to Haleigh's story today. Something had to have happened to Haleigh while she was on Misty's watch that Misty knew about. I'm torn on whether her father knows more than he's leading on, because how could he stay with and then marry Misty after her super sketchy account about what had happened to his daughter Haleigh that night? It just makes no sense to me. What do you think? So if you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn on those notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least twice every week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.